Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Who is Who in America on Alhikmat TV 24/7 online. We are very fortunate to have with us in Alhikmat studio a very well-known personality, national and international. He is no less a person than Mr. Dale Holness, the former Mayor of Broward County here in the United States of America. Mr. Holness has a very interesting history, and we want you to stay tuned as we talk to Mr. Holness. He is the candidate for Congress, and you're going to hear a lot about that and why he thinks he's going to make it and why we think he's going to make it. So we wanted to stay tuned and hear what Mr. Dale has to say.
For all of your forwarding and freight shipping needs, we at Trin Forwarding International are committed to product delivery. At Trin Forwarding, we have the much needed experience, professionalism, and due diligence in freight forwarding, shipping, and cargoes. We deliver with timeliness and precision. You can reach out to us at our Caribbean office in Trinidad and Tobago, telephone number 868-624-6250, or our Florida USA office at 305-887-9725.
Welcome to the show, Mr. Dale.
Thank you so much, Sheikh. I appreciate you giving me time to speak with you, to speak to the audience, and to talk a little bit about my story and what I believe we need to do to build a better, stronger community for all our people.
Wonderful. And as you know, our show nowadays with social media, the world, the entire globe has become smaller. So
Yes.
people throughout the world view our interviews, and they will have relatives and friends who are here, and they may be able to give them a phone call and say, hey guys, you need to support Mr. Dale Holness. He's running for Congress. But before we get into the details of all of that, with your history and your bio and all your accomplishments here in Broward County and in America, because you're a man who have met from President Obama go back, you had all the opportunities here in the United States of America. But tell us a little bit, for the benefit of our viewers worldwide, tell us a little bit about your background before we get into the present situation.
So I'm an immigrant to the United States. I was born in Jamaica, immigrated here when I was 17 years old, finished high school, did some college here, and got to work. America is a good place, a great place. It is a melting pot of the world. Take, for example, where we are and who comes to this masjid. You have people from all over the world that are here.
Yes.
And that's a great strength of America that often is not utilized. In college, at Broward College, I wrote a piece for my political science class back in the 70s that says, one of the greatest strengths of America is the diversity of its people. No other country in the world can send a loyal, patriotic citizen to any corner of this earth. Someone who understands the culture, speaks the language, have connections there that can open doors for us, whether it be in commerce, in academia, in medicine, in culture, in anything, in science. We are that place where people come from around the world to be a part of. And as such, we ought to use that great strength. In fact, when I was mayor in 2020, and you came through the airport, you'd hear a greeting that goes something like this: Buenvenidos, Bienvenue, Shalom, Assalamu Alaikum, Namaste, Niha, Sak Pase, Wagwan. Welcome to the cultural capital of America.
Interesting.
Yes.
That is really interesting. And I mean, it takes a lot of humanity qualities from you to look at these aspects in life. And I mean, being a politician, you got to understand the culture of people, the background of people, the faiths of people. And you know, God has blessed you with that quality. And you have looked into the needs of the people. I know we got to talk a lot about your achievement. I mean, how you became mayor of Broward County and running for Congress, etc. But before we get into that, what motivated you? What motivated you to get into politics? Tell us about that, your youth and your dream to get into this arena.
So, you know, I'm from very humble beginnings. My mother was a teenager when I was born. I, from an early stage, got involved in the school.
Right.
I was one of the student leaders at school. I was a part of the 4-H club. And I so happened to have met Michael Manley, former Prime Minister of Jamaica, at a young age. While I was still in high school. And I was so impressed by how he cared for people. No one's perfect, and he made some mistakes along the way, but he was someone with great humility who sought to serve. And I thought that we all ought to work together to build a better place for humanity, because others before us worked to build this world that we know, that we are now enjoying. I got here and I got involved also in the political arena. I worked on the campaign for the second black person elected in Broward County, Andrew DeGraff Wright. Most people, unless you've been here a long time, you don't know that it was not until the 70s that we had 2 black elected in Broward County.
Wow.
Now we have a large number. I happen to have benefited from many of the work that was done, in that I served as the chair of the Broward Black elected officials from 2015 to 2022. We built an organization to help the inclusivity of elected officials in office. And in 2020, I think the crowning achievement of what we did with that was we had 5 blacks elected across Broward County. Of the 6 countywide constitutional seats, 5 are now held by blacks, because we were there working. We have more black judges now. We have more minority judges. And again, going back to the concept from my days in college, understanding and realizing that our strength is the diversity of our people. And the more we're inclusive, the more everyone is at the table, living to their fullest potential, the stronger and better nation we have, and a better world that we have.
And you're right. You know, we have benefited from what the previous generations have planted for us. We have been benefiting from the fruits of what they have planted. And that's always the question: what are we doing for the next generation and coming generations? And I mean, someone with your background and with your achievements, you are a typical living example of that. So now, your love for politics, your love for community leadership, your love for change in policy and making things better for people. Tell us, what, before being the former mayor or being mayor of Broward County, what were some of the developments that led you up to that?
So while I was in college, at Broward College, I actually worked at McDonald's. And by 20 years old, they made me a general manager to run a store. Or something. Right. And at 22, I bought my first home. And I realized how important it is, ownership is. So I learned business operations from McDonald's. They sent me to what they call Hamburger University.
Yes, I like that.
In Chicago, Illinois. But what people laugh about that, but it taught you the principle of managing people, of finance, of how you run an institution, how you train and develop people. And I took that and then got my own business started, became a real estate broker. So in my real estate office, we built that office up to where we had almost 90 people, just under 90. We're doing 400 to 600 transactions per year. We're a preferred broker for Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, Citibank, Bank of America, Wells Fargo. And we did hundreds of deals. And the main reason I got in that arena was I realized that, especially within the minority communities, particularly black communities, home ownership lags the rest of the population.
Right.
Right now in South Florida, that population has ownership at about 47% compared to 76% for the white population. And knowing that the largest investment that someone makes in this country, and probably in the world, is their home. And that then transfer into other things.
And especially nowadays, the home is a major investment.
It's a major investment. So now people have borrowed money from the home to start a business,
yes,
to send kids to college, to weather a downturn in the economy or in their finances, where if they get ill, they can find some fund in there. And also, it's the largest asset people have at retirement. And then they downsize to a condo or to something else. And that's what helps take them through the rest of their lives. Or it's paid for and they can live there without having to make a payment. So it creates generational wealth.
Of course.
That's transferable easily and readily to other generations to end the cycle of poverty for so many families.
That is interesting. But so speaking about that, now that you're running for, I want to jump into the Congress thing, but I want our viewers out there, because we got so many people from throughout the world who come here to Broward County, who come to America. I want them to get a little more of your background. And so that's how you ended up running to become mayor of Broward County.
So there's
what led you into that excitement?
So yes.
Because that's a big position.
So the direct point that took me there,
yes,
is while being a real estate broker, being a part of the Realtors Association, I served on several committees. One of those committees was the Political Action Committee, because of my love for politics. And I was on the candidate screening committee to screen candidates and to endorse them.
Okay.
In 1998. So I screened all the candidates for several cities, including the one I lived in at the time, Lauderhill. And at the time, City Hall was on one side of the street, police station on the other corner, and drug dealers on the other corner. Wow. And there was tremendous amount of blight in the area.
Yes.
The area wasn't maintained at 55th and 19th Street. Businesses weren't doing so well, or schools weren't doing so well. And I couldn't get a good answer from them. In fact, one of those leaders said that it was not unusual for drug dealers to sell drugs across the street from City Hall and the police station. When I questioned him, he says, not unusual for that to happen. Many others didn't see the blight. So I decided, if that's who we're leading the city, then I could come up with some better idea and find some solutions. And I ran. Lost the first time by 117, the second time by 334, but I persisted. And the third time in 2004, I ran and won the seat and set forward to do the work. And I brought the team that got me elected in and says, look, this is not just for me to do, it's for all of us to do together as a team. Got the Lauderhill Chamber of Commerce, I got elected in March. By August, I had a Lauderhill Chamber of Commerce up and running. By October, we did the first ever in the history of Lauderhill a business expo, because I know that economics is critical for us to move our community forward. I later put together a group of very bright, educated people, far more bright and educated than I, but that's what leadership does. Bring good people together.
Listen, that's what America is known for. We bring all the engineers and all the doctors and all the intelligence from throughout the world, bring them to America.
And utilize that strength to build a better place.
That strength and energy.
So that group helped me put together the Chamber of Commerce, of course, under my leadership, the Lauderhill Education A+ plan that we funded at $100,000 per year, unprecedented for a smaller city. We increased home ownership in the area. We cleaned up the area. We bought the site where the drug dealers were. And we put in place a nonprofit organization, one called Right Side Poets, that does use poetry to bring the academic achievement of our students up. Because if you can read and write and speak well, you're on a good pathway to success.
Truly.
We also put the Lauderhill Incubator, Arts Incubator in there to help artists up and coming, but also to enhance the quality of life for the people in the area. Clean the area up, transform it, increase home ownership, school achievement improved. business improve. I actually designed a slogan, Shop Lauderhill, that if you live in your community, you ought to shop in your community so that you have the economic impact from your spend within your community and help our small businesses. Put together Lauderhill Business Incubator, put together a Sister City program that created Sister City with Chaguanas in Trinidad, with Suzano in Sao Paulo, Brazil, with Trelawney in Jamaica, and several others around the world. And that started the international piece of what I've done in traveling for trade missions to places like Ghana, Nigeria, Israel, India, Colombia, Costa Rica, and several other places to enhance the opportunity for American business to sell more goods and services to the rest of the world. Winning a presidential award for that in 2019. That award goes back to the days of Kennedy, 1962, because we helped so many of our businesses here to sell more goods and services to the rest of the world, which is important for us to connect to the world.
That is really, really a great achievement. That's a great achievement. And we must face the reality and accept it. When you became mayor of Broward County, there were great progress and great achievements. I mean, your name was all over the place. I mean, you just got to say Dale Holness. And, you know, and I must say this for our viewers worldwide, that every time I say the word wholeness, I'm like holiness. Because you know, God has blessed you with a very holy name, and it carries that kind of connection. So you have brought some sort of holiness and some sort of sacredness and upliftment to this county. Well, you know, when you talk and people enjoy the talk, time just goes. So would you believe we have already been speaking for 15 minutes?
Wow.
Well, yes, 15 minutes
Wow.
have already gone. So we got to go on a short break.
Yes.
And when we come back, we want to talk a little bit about why you think that you need to run for Congress, and what you think are some of the things that you will make changes to when you get into Congress. So to our viewers out there, stay tuned. When we come back, we'll continue this conversation with Mr. Dale Holness, who is a candidate for Congress, former mayor of Broward County, a man who has done a lot for this county, a man who has met the leaders and the former vice presidents and presidents of the United States of America. So he has a great amount of experience. And I would love to talk to him also on this show for you cricket fans all over the world to hear what he has done and contributed towards cricket in this county, Broward County, because I know our viewers are worldwide. People love cricket all over the world. So stay tuned. When we come back, we'll continue this conversation, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum. Allah gives hikmat, wisdom, to whomsoever He wills. And whomsoever is given wisdom is certainly given a lot of good. Only the people of understanding will benefit from the reminder. Tune in to Alhikmat TV for khutbahs, lectures, and Islamic reminders. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
In the Quran, in chapter 5, verse 67, Allah tells the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Ya ayyuhar Rasul, balligh ma unzila ilayka min rabbik, wa illam taf'al, fama balagta risalatahu. Very deep. Allah tells the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to spread the message of the Quran. And he told the Prophet, and if you do not spread the message, you did not fulfill the mission of the messenger. So you and I are followers of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If we can afford one Quran, help us join in distributing the Quran. So if you can't afford one Quran, do it. $3. 10 Quran, $30. 100 Quran, $300. Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to Who is Who in America on Alhikmat TV 24/7 online. Once more, it is a pleasure and an honor to have with us in Alhikmat studio Mr. Dale Holness. And for those of you who have just tuned in, Mr. Dale Holness has been the former mayor of Broward County here in Florida, United States of America, and he's now a candidate for Congress. So we're going to continue this conversation with Mr. Dale on some of his achievements when he was mayor of Broward County and what is his vision when he gets into Congress. And as we say, inshallah, God willing.
Inshallah.
So welcome back to the show, Mr. Dale.
Thank you, Shaikh Shafayat.
So tell us, before we get on your trail and your journey to Congress, and I like to think very positive, and I'm sure that's how you are.
Also, yes.
Tell us some of those achievements that you have achieved as mayor in Broward County.
So I got elected to the county commission in 2010, and set to continue the work that I did as a commissioner in the city of Lauderhill, and to build on those achievements, and really focus on economic upliftment, because when people are more prosperous, they behave better, they live better, their health's better, the world is a better place when that's the case.
Yes.
So that was became my major focus, building again on starting the Chamber of Commerce in Lauderhill and helping the business incubator, putting Sister City International together. At the county, I focused on our procurement process, how we contract and how we ensure that the billions of dollars that the county spends spreads out throughout the whole community of South Florida. And South Florida is one of the most diverse places in the world. You have Miami-Dade to the south, Broward in the center, and Palm Beach to the north. It's 6 million people plus. It's the sixth largest metropolitan area in the United States. And again, 2 million in Broward County, 2.7 million in Miami-Dade County, and about 1.3 million in Palm Beach County.
Someone was telling me that from a language point of view, Broward County is either the top or the second with the most amount of different languages spoken in this county.
Yes, we have about 190 different languages from 200 different countries around the world.
Wow.
That is why the greeting was Bienvenido, Bienvenidos, Namaste, Shalom, Salam Alaikum, Sak Passe, Wagwan, Ni Hao. So including the world, because we're the world. We're the world here, and America is the world.
Yes.
But what we need to ensure is that we don't leave communities behind, and we've done some of that, especially communities of color in this country. They struggle, and we have to build more inclusivity. So, our procurement process, prosperity. To build that, we changed many of our procurement codes, and I went out and recruit small minority women-owned business to participate. I got to the county, 10.25% of our procurement went to those groups. In 2021, last year, my last year in office, we went to 55%, representing $245 million. That's a big uplift for people who were not at the table participated. Because you see, when you own business, who do you hire? You hire your kids.
Yes.
You hire your friends. You hire people around you. So in order to spread the prosperity, we need entrepreneurs in communities that don't have entrepreneurs. We've got to help those communities grow their business and give them technical support and access to capital and an opportunity to contract.
Yes.
And that's what we did at the county. And that's why
it automatically builds the county, because you have your own people within the county.
Absolutely. So let me give you a result of that. In South Florida, I mentioned Miami and Palm Beach. Miami-Dade County poverty rate for the black community is 24.4%. Palm Beach is 20%. Broward County is 15%. Why are we lower? Because we have been purposed under my leadership to be more inclusive of everyone, to make sure that everybody gets an opportunity to be a part of the process, and not just one group getting all the contracts and being at the table. That's a huge achievement for us in Broward County. Again, in 2019, because of my efforts for Florida's International Trade and Cultural Expo, the county won a presidential award that goes back to the days of President Kennedy in 1962 for helping our businesses sell more goods and services to the rest of the world. Interesting.
You led the United States. Your county led the United States.
We absolutely did. We absolutely did. So it's a huge achievement for us. And again, let's look at the advantage that we have because of the diversity that we have. We connect to the world.
Yes.
Because we have the diversity of people who can go anywhere, open doors for trade, for commerce, for anything in the world at all. We use that to open access points to sell more goods and services, to get the best and the brightest from the rest of the world to participate with us, to enjoy the culture, the food, the everything from around the world.
Speaking about connecting to the world, how did you come up with this whole international business plan an event that you did in Broward County? Because
So-
that created a big public impact. Everyone was, Broward County was well known and uplifted on that.
Yes, yes. So it goes back to the building blocks that I started much earlier in life, but also more directly when I got to Lauderhill and put together Sister City International Program and created the Chamber of Commerce. We started these exchanges, cultural and economic exchange with other countries, and I realized how important that was.
So that is what took you to Ghana, Nigeria, and India.
Exactly. We did Sister City with Trinidad.
Oh,
we did
okay.
Sister City with Brazil. We did Sister City with Jamaica and other places. And we went on missions there, trade mission, cultural missions. And that opens the door. That's exactly what took me to these other places, for us to open doors for relationship that leads to beneficial partnerships for our countries around the world. And it's something that we must do. And when we lift up people in other countries and lift them out of poverty because we're doing commerce and trade, those countries benefit.
Of course.
We benefit as a result of it also. So that's a huge piece. Now, there's some issues that we must face in this country that we haven't faced enough. And that is, we have segments of our community where there's injustice. When you look at our judicial system, you find that there's need for reform and policing in our judicial system. And especially for black folks. In the state of Florida, blacks make up 16.9% of the population, yet there are 47% of people in prison. There's something very wrong with that. It means that we're robbing ourselves of some of our most vital capital or human capital. We can change that, and I've worked to change that. So I've put in place in Broward a civil citation program where for minor misdemeanor offenses, you get a citation, you get a ticket more or less, and you go through a process of redeeming yourself without having to go to jail, without having to have a record. For minor like if you had a little bit of marijuana, if you were loitering, if you shoplifted for a small amount of money, if you get in a little scuffle with someone, nobody got hurt. We don't need to put, if you have misbehave in some way. And what we find is a large percent of people in our prisons and in our jails have mental illness, have drug addiction problems, and are very poor. We need to change that and make sure that we're building a stronger, better community by investing in everyone. Housing is a crisis situation here in South Florida, in America. And I've worked to help to alleviate that. The county is putting millions of dollars in building new affordable housing. I've been at the forefront of that. There's a lot that we must do to ensure that we have early childhood education, especially in low and moderate income communities. And we must make those investments. And that is the reason why I'm running for the United States Congress, because I believe the experience that I've had over time can be utilized by our community, by our state, by our nation, to build a better place for everyone.
And that is why you are the most qualified to run for Congress.
Absolutely. Experience matters. Results matters. Promises anyone can make.
Yes.
But what have you done? What is your track record? What have you delivered from the promises that you made? I can show you that I have delivered on the promises that I
Definitely.
made.
So most of the times, in an interview, someone will ask, so what makes you think that you're qualified to run? But I'm telling you that I think that those are the things that makes you the most qualified to run.
Yes.
There's a famous saying that a lot of politicians, before election, they shake your hand. And after they win, they shake your confidence.
well, thankfully.
But in your case,
for 18 years, the people have had the confidence to promote me and move me
excellent. So
forward.
that's why I'm saying that. But you have built that confidence in the people over these many years in your positions and your leadership. So
we talk cricket.
Yeah, tell us a little bit. All work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. So tell us a little bit about sports and how and what you have done to enhance this cricket thing in Broward, because 20, 30 years ago you never heard of cricket here in Broward. And now you're hearing cricket is a big thing in Broward County.
Huge. It's huge.
So tell us what is your contribution towards making this happen in this part of the world in America?
So as a kid, I played a little cricket, more soccer than cricket, and I was a spin bowler, left-handed.
Okay.
I wanted to be Lance Gibbs, for those in the cricket world who know who Lance Gibbs is.
Lance Gibbs,
one of the most famous cricket spin bowler. But I realized that we had people from communities around the world that were playing cricket, but it wasn't facilitated very well. And I looked at that and says, you know, there's an opportunity for us to utilize this for economic growth and development while having fun. So I led the effort to build the stadium, the cricket stadium, the only one that is sanctioned by the International Cricket Council internationally to play cricket here.
Here in America?
Here in America.
Wow.
As of now. There's another one that's on the brink of probably doing that in Houston. But what it has done for us is brought the rest of the world here, the cricketing world as it is. We have this very weekend upcoming, India playing the West Indies. And this week I've been working with our Congress people, with our State Department, to get the visas that for those who are remaining to come in. And here's what has occurred as a result of this. We made that investment for $77 million. To date, we have had over $100 million in economic impact, positive economic impact for the community.
Interesting.
We sold for this upcoming game already almost 20,000 tickets. About $3 million just from ticket sales alone.
That's a big income because the outside world, a lot of them are great lovers of cricket.
Yes.
And especially many of the residents in Broward County.
Yes.
So you have really hit the nail on the head.
Yes,
That's an
yes,
interesting market.
Yes.
That is business.
Yes,
it's not
it
only
is.
sports, but it's business.
Exactly. We have a lot of people that will be here spending money in our hotels, in our restaurants, and they're going to be going to Sawgrass.
Wow.
That's a favorite place for the Indians to go to when they come. They
Okay.
will come in with 1, maybe 2 suitcases. They will leave with 5, 6 suitcases with stuff that they bought here to take back.
And you're bringing the East and the West together
Absolutely.
here. The Caribbean,
Yes.
the cricket lovers
Yes,
of the
yes,
Caribbean,
yes.
from the East India. Wow.
We've brought the world here. We've had New Zealand. We have Bangladesh. We've had Sri Lanka. We've had India several times. The West Indies, this is like their second home. And it took some convincing
Oh, truly.
for them to realize that we wouldn't hurt the Caribbean countries by bringing the sports here, because they were fearful that the tourism that would come here wouldn't go there. But what it has done is that actually enhance travel to the Caribbean from people who are here in America.
I never
Because
thought
there's-
about that, but that's an interesting point.
Yes,
that they thought
yes.
because it's America,
Yeah.
everybody will want to come and play in America,
yes, yes.
and they will lose that sort of tourism in the other islands.
Yeah. Well, this series, actually, there are 5 games in the series between the West Indies and India. 1 game was played in Trinidad, 2 in Nevis, and the remaining 2 will be played here this coming weekend. So it's spreading, right? And there are people here who thought, well, you know, ticket prices here are a little bit too much. We'll travel down and take a vacation to Trinidad, to Nevis at the same time while we're enjoying the sports. So they're benefiting, we're benefiting. It is really a great relationship having this.
It is definite. I mean, America is so big,
Yes, it
and
is.
so many states, and
Yes.
so many people from throughout the world.
Yes.
I mean, it will be so interesting for them to fly down
Yes.
to Broward County from all different states in America and make this a unique event.
It is. And most of the tickets that were sold, more than 80% of the tickets are from people from outside of South Florida, from outside of Brown
You
County.
see what I'm saying?
So we're bringing the folks in, they're going to have a good time, they're going to spend some money, we're going to grow our economy, create more jobs, which is vital for us in order to ensure that we are creating prosperity, is that we create jobs, we grow our economy. And that is what as a leader I've done over a long period of time, is how do we enhance economic growth and development that create good paying jobs so that people who work have a living wage. I've led on that front also. Our living wage in Broward County for employees of the county and for those who contract to do business is $17.56, whereas the minimum wage is below $10. So that's something else that we have to focus on. And America is geared to high-end developments. We ought to be doing more with pharmaceutical medicine because we're in the leading edge of that. Medical equipment, aerospace industry, the marine industry, building more ships, more boats, more aircrafts. That's high-end, high-tech that can then ensure that people who are here have a living wage. We certainly are not going to be able to compete with many developing countries in making clothing. If you look at the clothing you're wearing, it's from somewhere else, made somewhere else, not necessarily in America. But we can actually enhance the life of our people here by focusing on these high-tech, high-end manufacturing jobs that will help us build an economy here, but also when we export it to the rest of the world, enhance the life of those in the rest of the world, because of pharmaceutical products can help save lives, or medical equipment products can help save lives, or aerospace industry, aeronautics can help people transport themselves around the world. When I visited India, I see a thriving aerospace industry where the airports are expanding so much. There's so much intertravel within India. They need more aircraft. Not only that, they have a shortage of pilots that we can train here.
Right.
And that's also bringing people here that spend money here for the training and the education, and they benefit India also. So there's a lot we can do when we work together as human beings across the globe to build and strengthen the lives of everyone.
Well, you have done it, and you have made it happen as a community leader and as the former mayor of Broward County. And I'm sure when you get into Congress, you get up there, you're going to make it happen for the entire country, because your success, your example, your experience will bring great success to Congress and to make decisions for the betterment of the entire United States and, as you said, and the world. And as you said, not only have you created great achievement in humanity services, but you brought the power and strength in the economical stability and the status from the economical point of view and the economics here in Broward County. And that's the grease that keeps the wheels spinning. That's the grease that keeps the wheels spinning. So when we come back, we got to go on a short break. It's already 15 minutes again of the second segment. When we come back, we want to touch base a little bit now on the journey to Congress. And what are some of the things you have in your vision, whatever you want to share with our viewers worldwide. And as we said, viewers worldwide all got families and friends here in America. It only takes a phone call for them to say, hey, you got to vote for this man. This is the man that will make it happen. He has already made it happen, and he will make it happen when he sits in Congress.
I'll continue to work. But if anyone wants to, they can go to my website, wholenessforcongress.com. That's HOLNESSFOR Congress, CONGRESS.com, and you can learn more, you can connect, you can support by volunteering, donating. You have to be an American permanent resident or citizen to donate. You can volunteer. You can talk to your friends and neighbors. You can learn more about what I've done and what I plan to do.
Wonderful. So stay tuned. When we come back, we're going to continue this conversation with Mr. Dale Holness, former mayor of Broward County, who is now a candidate for Congress. And you have heard all his achievements and making things like what he has achieved and accomplished as the former mayor. That's a cup of tea for him when he gets into Congress, to be a leader from a national point of view here in the United States of America, to make decisions for the betterment of the entire United States and the world. So stay tuned when we come back, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum. Allah gives hikmat, wisdom, to whomsoever He wills. And whomsoever is given wisdom is certainly given a lot of good. Only the people of understanding will benefit from the reminder. Tune in to Alhikmat TV for khutbahs, lectures, and Islamic reminders. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
In the Quran, in chapter 5, verse 67, Allah tells the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Ya ayyuhar Rasul, balligh ma unzila ilayka min rabbik, wa illam taf'al, fama balagta risalatahu. Very deep. Allah tells the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to spread the message of the Quran. And he told the Prophet, and if you do not spread the message, you did not fulfill the mission of the messenger. So you and I are followers of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If we can afford one Quran, help us join in distributing the Quran. So if you can't afford one Quran, do it. $3. 10 Quran, $30. 100 Quran, $300. Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to Who is Who in America on Alhikmat TV 24/7 online. Once more, it is an honor, it's a privilege, it's a pleasure to have with us in Alhikmat studio Mr. Dale Holness, the former mayor of Broward County and a candidate for Congress, and as I say and how I like to word it, his journey to Congress, because we're very positive and we got to think very positive. With his achievement, he's definitely on the way to Congress.
Yes,
so,
certainly.
welcome back to the show, Mr. Dale Holness.
Thank you so much.
So, tell us in our third segment here now, this is our last segment, when you get into Congress, because I always like to think that way, positive. When you get into Congress,
Yes.
what is some of your vision, or let's start probably with poverty. How do you see, and what contribution, and what do you think you can get going there in Congress to lift this poverty problem that we hear all the time on the media that people are facing, in the United States of America? You look on the news, you're seeing in places like Las Vegas, so many homeless people have housing problems. What is your vision, and how do you see you getting things like these resolved?
So this district, by the way, of the 28th congressional district in the state of Florida, District 20 has the highest level of poverty.
Oh, truly.
The highest unemployment rate, lowest home ownership rate, lowest business ownership rate. So it is real that someone who has experience of making a difference and changing the trajectory of life within these communities at the forefront of leading this effort. The first thing we have to do is look at how we bring the leadership of our community together, which is something that I've done on a local basis. But we need to enhance that, which means we need to bring our elected officials, or educational centers, bring our corporate entities, small, medium, large businesses, bring our religious institutions and our non-profit institutions to the table to address the issue. Because it's going to take all of us working together to bring about that change. Certainly, the power of Congress to allocate funding is critical in helping to stimulate the change. We have already identified a large number of communities that have high poverty through what's called empowerment zone, high poverty, high unemployment. So we know where they are. Now what's the solution to changing that? Okay, so let's start on the educational side with education. What we do know is this: in many low-income communities, moderate-income communities, there's a lack of early childhood education. And studies have shown that if a child is not prepared to enter kindergarten or first grade, they're going to be behind for pretty much the rest of their lives.
Yes, yes.
So the first thing we must do is invest in early childhood education, starting at daycare. We must put funding in place in these high poverty, high unemployment, low income, moderate income communities to stimulate the development of more centers and actually fund teachers for these centers and make sure that it's the top best systems that are being put in place. And we know the models that work and how we can move these children forward. So that's the first place we start. It also
and that's an interesting point, because a lot of times, and before in other countries, that's a mistake where some people make. They concentrate from when a child is just 5 years in primary school, as we call it, and then the early stage education. They don't care where the kids study. They go anywhere by anybody, unqualified, and then when, as you rightly said, when they go into primary school, they're lost. They have no clue what's going on.
So studies have shown that the first 7 years of life is where the brain is developed the most. The first 7 years.
Wow.
If we lose that opportunity in the first 7 years, then it's difficult going forward. And a child is learning even before they're born. Because they're listening to the sounds, they're hearing the conversation.
Of course.
So at birth, we need to make sure that now we bring the community together to help the families and build and strengthen that. Then after we start with that, then we need to look at K through 12, kindergarten through 12th grade, adding additional funding and support within these very communities that are low, moderate income. Those who are wealthy already are okay.
Yes.
Their kids are going to be fine. Okay, but it's the lower end of the spectrum and the weaker link that we need to strengthen, because when we strengthen those, we strengthen the entire community and create a greater nation. So K through 12, more funding and resources, and making sure that we're hiring the best teachers in those communities, pay them extra so that they go there. Okay, because sometimes it's a difficult place for a teacher to be, and they would rather probably go to where it's wealthy, it's easier, not so much, but we need them, the best teachers in these communities. And then we have to look at ensuring that we have vocational training technical training, and free access to college for these communities. That's how we build from the educational side. And then the other side of it, we must create more jobs and grow the business and the entrepreneurship within these communities, which means now we're going to have to revive and change the SBA to become more of an empowerment entity that will go out and help with technical support for these small businesses within these communities. Give them the technical support, give them the access to capital so that they can grow and develop. Make sure that when the funds are being spent in these communities, we don't bring folks from other places that are already wealthy to come in and do the work, but make sure the people within these communities are actually getting a job, getting the training to do the jobs that are there, to help transform and lift that up. Then if you look at these communities, the housing stock is often in poor condition. We need to invest in upgrading the housing stock here and increase home ownership, because now you're going to transfer from poverty to where you have more stability and grow people's opportunity to transfer their wealth to the next generation. And ownership is what helps to do that. So those are a couple of the areas there on the side of poverty that we need to work on. And then we have to look also at how we bring some of those higher end manufacturing into these communities, targeting it directly and giving them the training that's necessary to be able to participate in these new enterprises that will be created within these communities. That's a huge piece of what we do. And again, I have a track record of helping our small minority and women-owned businesses at the county level to grow and expand and develop. And that has helped us to reduce the poverty level. Those two things will help with that tremendously.
Well, definitely. I mean, you strengthen the early education, you strengthen the job opportunities, the housing developments. I mean, that is success. When people have education, they got a good job, and then they got a good housing, then they're financially stable. That makes the economy great, it makes the country great, and it can only happen with great leaders who can make these things happen. Now, speaking about that, tell us on another aspect. Let's talk a little bit about immigration here now. What sort of contribution? You know, that's always a big issue when the President of the United States of America gives his state address. Immigration is always an issue. When they campaign, immigration is an issue. You always hear these sort of talk and opinions on different sides, who wants what and who doesn't want what. What is your vision to enhance and to better this immigration situation in America, whether it's illegal immigrants to citizenship? How do you see this flowing properly for the benefit of people and the benefit of America?
Sadly, it's become too politicized, and people are using it as a tool to win election. We saw that happen with our last president.
Yes.
Where he called immigrants from Mexico rapists. And Mexicans were here before most Americans, because part of this country was Mexico. Okay, California and that region. But he used it as a tool to win the election.
I think that is exactly what happened, because how could you criticize immigrants and your wife is an immigrant?
But understand this, that was what he did. And then he came after that with banning Muslim from entering the country. Some who were actually citizens got stuck at our airports and weren't treated well. Again, a tool to win an election. That's not who or what we should be. We're a nation of immigrants. We're a nation of immigrants.
Of course.
Everyone who is here immigrated from somewhere. Now, the Indians were here before everyone else, but they actually, according to the archaeologists and the history, they came across the barren straits to the north and then entered down into the rest of America.
So everyone migrated.
Exactly, everyone migrated. Now, when the 12 senators got together and proposed many years ago immigration reform, the Congressional Budget Office, an independent entity, said that if we were to have carried that out, full immigration reform, we would have grown our economy by $1.2 trillion. That's a lot of money.
Of course, a lot
Immigrants provide vital service and work to our country. So many are here that are in the shadows. And if we were to get them out of the shadows and let them live fully, then they'll be more productive and more of the money would stay here and we could grow our economy. So that's important for us to look at that. Now, I'm not saying that we should have a country without borders. I'm not saying that we should just allow anyone to come in. There has to be a process and a system in place. But whilst we're here with so many people who are now on temporary protective status, DACA, those early childhood arrivals, those kids that came here when they were kids and they had no say, their parents brought them, that are now in our system. They've been documented. They're not undocumented anymore. They've been fingerprinted, they've been processed. We ought to at least let that first group get a pathway to becoming permanent residents, because they already are. Some have been here 20, 30 years. Now let's make them be the full citizens that they want to be. And many want to do that. And then let's look at the others who are undocumented and create a pathway for them to become fully documented, get a permanent resident green card, and then a pathway to become citizens. They want to be a part of America. They are a part of America.
Yeah. And you made a good point there, because I mean, America is so big.
Yes.
The land of America is so vast.
Yes.
It has the availability, it has the place, it has the space for growth. Yes. It needs immigrants. But the borders and the immigration policies are very important, because that brings in income.
Yes.
Just the process brings in income, which is very, very healthy for the country, very wealthy for the country. And
we always need workers.
Yes.
And what we find is this: the immigrants who are coming are mostly youthful, younger people. And they will contribute to work and building. If you look at Japan, whose population has been declining, their economy has been stagnant because they don't have the labor force to produce as they used to. One of the big issues with Greece, when they had that huge economic downturn, was because they didn't have enough workers producing, and they had so many seniors who now were being taken care of by the government. You need people to be working to produce, to create growth in the economy. And that is what we know immigrants does. They're usually what we now describe as frontline workers, especially during COVID.
Of course.
Okay, they were valuable to us because they were the ones on the front line, the nurses at the airports, moving the goods and the services across the country. So let's value them and recognize that they're contributing in a positive way. And in fact, studies have shown that the crime rates for immigrants is lower than those who have been here for a long time. People don't recognize or realize that, but that's a fact.
Yes,
okay?
That's a fact.
So let's not demonize immigrants. Let's embrace them. There are a couple of countries that have realized that's important and are utilizing that as a tool to grow their economy and develop their country.
And that's also a very important point, because a lot of countries, by not allowing immigrants, they remain stagnant.
Absolutely.
And then they started to deteriorate and go down.
Exactly.
Not realizing that the immigrants bring in so much, because
new vitality,
the citizens,
young people,
after time become stagnant.
Yes.
And then when they get into old age, which I mean, we don't like to use the word senior stage,
it
it's all about paying pension, you're paying off, and you have no workers.
Exactly the point I'm trying to
I wish some of our viewers in other countries can benefit from this, because I've seen that in other countries that remain and went down because they're not attracting room for immigrants.
For new people who come in to help.
And that is one of America's greatest success.
Yes, it is. That's the strength of our country.
Yes.
A major strength. The other issue that I'd like to really take on, and that is reform of our criminal justice system. We saw what happened to George Floyd and so many others across our country. It is a sad thing.
Of course.
The federal government ought to lead in ensuring that we put in the best practices in place. Okay? One of those is to have crisis intervention training for all our police officers. Because too often we put mentally ill people or people who have drug addiction in our jails and our prisons. That's not the place they should be. We should be giving them the support mechanism and the help for them to live full lives, that they can be productive to help us. We also look at a criminal justice system where there's a tremendous amount of injustice when it comes to the minority population, particularly to blacks. And it's demonstrated with George Floyd and so many other instances. So the federal government has a purse string, a huge purse string, $7 trillion annual budget. That's a lot of money.
A lot.
You can tie grant funding to cities, to counties, to states who put best practices in place to ensure we reform in the criminal justice system, where we create a place where there's equal treatment for people and justice for all. That's who we ought to be. I've worked on some of that. I created in Broward County an ordinance that put in place a 24-member police and criminal justice review board to look at our entire criminal justice system and to see what reforms we can put in place to create more justice for all, to look at how policing is done to change that trajectory. Also, I've put in place an ordinance creating a racial equity task force. 37 different members will be on that, okay? Or large businesses, or medium businesses, Chamber of Commerce, the college, Broward College. We have the Urban League, we have the NAACP, we have Hispanic Unity, we have the clergy, we have the whole spectrum of people in the community looking at how we change and what oftentimes is clear, systemic racism, which is a part of what happened within our criminal justice system.
Yeah.
City Financial, a great institution, huge international institution, had a study done that was reported out September 2020. And it said that because of racial inequities and systemic racism, America lost $16 trillion in gross domestic product because everyone wasn't living to their fullest potential and given an equal chance for prosperity. And if we fix it, we could grow our economy by $5 trillion. That means everybody benefit, whether you're black, you're white, you're Chinese, you're Indian, no matter your background, religiously, ethnically, or racially. That's what we must do in America to move our country forward, to create a greater nation for all of us. And yes, we are a great nation.
Of course, of course.
And I believe that one of the greatness of our country is that we've evolved over time. From slavery to Jim Crow to riots in the street for justice to where we're still finding a way to create a more perfect union, to bring us all together, to ensure that we're creating prosperity for all our people.
That is superb. And, you know, as usual, we have come to the end of the program. So let us know in a minute or two.
Wholenessforcongress.com.
Yes, all this is for, they got to vote for you, and
Yes.
you're the man that will make it happen.
Yes.
And I'm sure that our viewers will definitely support your journey to Congress
Yes.
and call their friends and their family
Yes,
here in this
yes.
county and ensure that they all vote for you.
Yes.
So tell us in the last 1 minute or so, what
Yeah.
would you like to say to our viewers as we conclude the program?
So what I'd say to our viewers is this, that humans are 99.9% the same. And we've got to work to understand that and to love each other, to care for each other, to ensure that we're supportive, especially of those who have the greatest needs within our communities. And the reward you get is a certain self-fulfillment that comes to you, and the blessings of God, of Allah. It is a huge thing for us to really realize that when we give and when we help others, we benefit emotionally, but we also benefit spiritually and other ways. Now, wholenessforcongress.com is my website. I hope you will call your friends who live in Broward County or in Palm Beach County. It's almost 800,000 people. We have 312,000 registered Democrats, and it's a Democratic primary election. And the election already started because we're voting by mail. There are people around the world who have ballots that they can mail back, or they can fax it in. Or you can go to the U.S. Embassy in the country that you're in if you're outside of the United States, if you're an American citizen, and you can vote. That's one of the greatness of our country also.
Of course.
Not too many places allow you to vote by mail from wherever you are in the world if you get your ballot. So that is already happening. On the 13th in Broward County, in Palm Beach we'll start earlier, you'll be able to vote in person from the 13th through the 21st. And then the 23rd of August will be the last day to vote. So now is the time for you to reach out to your friends, relatives, neighbors, and talk to them about voting for Dale Wholeness for the U.S. Congress. Because I believe truly that the diversity of our nation is one of our greatest strengths. And when we come together and work together, we create a better place for everyone, including ourselves.
Thank you very much. That is well said, and your leadership and your example and your experience. We wish you all the best on your journey to Congress. And of course, we'll have to talk to you again when you're in Congress. We'll need to have you on another interview, whether it's in Zoom or whether you're in Washington or you're down here, because that may be a very interesting interview to hear, that other side of the coin when you sit in Congress. Well, thank you very much again, Mr. Dale Holness, for taking the time to be with us on this show and for coming to Alhikmat studio and to be on this program, Who is Who in America. We wish you all the best. God bless. As we say, inshallah, you will be there in Congress.
Inshallah.
So to our viewers there, thank you very much for tuning in to Alhikmat TV, and always stay tuned to Alhikmat TV. It is always a pleasure talking to you and bringing guests like Mr. Dale Holness and people from all over the world so we can all benefit from their knowledge and their experience. Until then, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Royal Bengal Trading, importer, exporter, wholesaler of Bangladeshi Indo-Pak groceries and spices. We specialize in various authentic Indian masalas, juices, flours, rices, and spices. We offer exclusive brands as Ocean Pearl, Shan, National, Tilda, Himani, and many, many more. We're located at 36B Coroni Savannah Road, Charlieville, Chaguanas, Trinidad and Tobago. You can call us at 473-4676 or call 476-3117. Email us at wahabdk@gmail.com.